The truck didn't slow down. It came out of the rain like something alive. Not drifting. Not losing control. Not reacting. Moving with intention. 1 second, the road was mine. The slick black asphalt stretched endlessly ahead, reflecting streetlights like liquid gold. My engine hummed beneath me, controlled, powerful, predictable. The kind of control I had built my entire life around. Then the world broke. Headlights exploded into my vision. Too bright. Too direct. Too fast. Time didn't freeze. It stretched. Pulled thin. Long enough for me to notice everything. The way the rain hit the windshield in violent streaks. The way my fingers tightened instinctively around the steering wheel. The way my heart slammed against my ribs, not out of fear, but recognition. Because something about this wasn't random. The truck shifted. Not away from me. Toward me. That's when I knew. No. Impact. The sound wasn't what people imagine. Not a cinematic explosion. Not a sharp crash. It was heavy. Crushing. Like the world collapsing inward. Metal screamed as it folded into itself. The front of my car disappeared in an instant, crushed like it had never existed. Glass shattered violently across my face, cutting, blinding, disorienting. My body snapped forward. Then back. Then. Nowhere. And inside me. Something broke. Not outside. Not the car. Me. A crack. Deep. Silent. Final. The engine whined somewhere in the distance. The rain kept falling, louder now, mixing with the hiss of something leaking, something burning. But inside the car, everything went quiet. I tried to move. Nothing happened. I blinked hard. Tried again. Nothing. My breathing turned uneven. Move, I whispered. Nothing. Panic didn't hit all at once. It crept in. Cold. Slow. Certain. My legs were still there. I could see them. Pinned awkwardly beneath the crushed dashboard. But they weren't mine anymore. I couldn't feel them. Not pain. Not pressure. Nothing. In the fractured reflection of the windshield, I saw the truck. It hadn't sped off. It was still there. Waiting. Watching. For a second too long. Then. It reversed. Slowly. Deliberately. And disappeared into the rain. When I opened my eyes again, I thought I was dead. White ceiling. Fluorescent lights. That steady, mechanical beeping that sounded like life being imitated. Hospitals always smell the same. Sterile. Empty. Like hope had been scrubbed out of the air. I tried to sit up. Nothing happened. Not slowly. Not weakly. Not at all. Mr. Young, can you hear me? The voice felt far away. Like it was reaching me through water. What happened? You were involved in a severe traffic accident. My throat burned as I swallowed. Okay, I whispered. Then fix me. There was a pause. Just a small one. But it changed everything. There was significant damage to your spinal cord. The words floated. Meaningless. When can I walk? I asked. Not if. I don't deal in ifs. I solve problems. I win. But he didn't answer. And suddenly. I didn't want him to. You may never walk again. No. That didn't make sense. That wasn't how this worked. That wasn't me. I laughed. It sounded wrong. Empty. Detached. You're joking. Silence. You don't know who I am. Nothing. I run a billion-dollar division. I rebuilt failing sectors. My voice cracked. I don't lose. The doctor looked at me. Not with fear. Not with respect. With pity. I'm sorry, he said. And just like that, everything I had ever been disappeared. The worst part wasn't the diagnosis. It was what came after. Because pain fades. Shock. That fades too. But reality. That settles in. Slowly. Relentlessly. A week later, I learned something worse than paralysis. I learned I was replaceable. You should see this. The tablet was placed in front of me. I didn't want to look. But I did. My boardroom. My company. My seat at the head of the table. Empty. And with Min Jae unable to fulfill his duties. My chest tightened. We must appoint an interim successor. Then. He appeared. Calm. Collected. Perfect. My name is Jung Hyun Woo, he said. I'm prepared to take responsibility. My stepbrother. I stared at the screen. Something cold settled in my chest. You knew, I whispered. And then. The memory came back. His voice. That night. You sound confident, for someone standing on glass. The truck. The timing. The outcome. Too clean. Too perfect. No. That was insane. Wasn't it? She came a month later. Min Jae. Her voice used to feel like warmth. Now. It felt like distance. You're late, I said without looking at her. I've been busy. Of course she had. Everyone moves on. Especially when you stop being useful. Say it. Say what? The reason you're here. Silence stretched between us. Things have changed. I let out a quiet laugh. Because I can't walk, or because I'm no longer the heir? She didn't answer immediately. And that was the answer. I didn't sign up for this, she said. This? I repeated. This life. This situation. I turned to face her. Say it properly. Her expression hardened. I didn't sign up to take care of someone who can't even stand. That hit harder than the crash. I nodded slowly. Good, I said. Then don't. She slipped the ring off her finger. Placed it on the table. Carefully. Like it meant nothing. I hope you understand. I do. And I meant it. Because for the first time in my life, I saw people clearly. She left. Didn't look back. I stared at the ring for a long time. Then I knocked it off the table. Time didn't pass. It dragged. A year. A full year. And somehow, it felt like both a second and a lifetime. People think rock bottom is sudden. It's not. It's slow. It's waking up every morning and remembering. It's trying to move your legs. And feeling nothing. It's hearing your name less and less. Until one day, it disappears completely. The TV flickered in the background. Young Corporation reports record growth under new leadership. I threw the remote. It shattered against the wall. Sir, please. Get out. They stopped arguing after a while. Everyone does. Eventually. I stopped going outside. Stopped answering calls. Stop trying. Because trying meant failing. And I had never learned how to fail. You're running out of choices. I ran out a year ago. She's different. They're all different. She's your last option. That made me laugh. Send her in. I expected softness. Carefulness. Pity. Instead, she walked in like none of this mattered. Young Min Jae. No title. Just my name. And you are? I asked. Amara Okoye. The name lingered. Strong. Grounded. You're my therapist? I'm the one who decides if you walk again. That got my attention. Do you know who I am? Yes. I smirked slightly. Then you know you don't talk to me like that. She stepped closer. I talk to patients exactly how they need to be spoken to. And what do I need? Her eyes didn't soften. You need to stop acting like you're already dead. Silence. For the first time in a year. Someone didn't treat me like I was broken. They treated me like I was wrong. And I didn't know whether to hate her. Or listen. Stand up. I stared at her. For a second, I thought I misheard. Leave, I said flatly. Stand up. I said leave. And I said stand. Something inside me tightened. You don't get to come in here, I said slowly. And start giving orders like you understand anything. She didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't soften. You're right, she said. The answer caught me off guard. I don't understand what it feels like to be you, she continued. Silence. Then she stepped closer. But I understand this, she added. Her voice dropped slightly. You gave up. That hit. Not loudly. Not violently. Just, directly. I didn't give up, I snapped. You stopped trying. I tried for a year. No, she said calmly. You waited for something to fix you. Silence. The worst part? She wasn't wrong. I can't walk, I said. You won't walk. I said I can't. And I said you won't. The room felt smaller. Tighter. You think this is motivation? I asked bitterly. Because it's not. It's insulting. I'm not here to motivate you, she said. I'm here to make you move. I laughed. Actually laughed. Then go ahead, I said. I spread my arms slightly. Make me. Silence. Then she did something I didn't expect. She crouched in front of me. Close enough that I couldn't avoid her eyes. Try, she said. I told you. Try. Her voice didn't rise. Didn't push. But it didn't move either. It stayed. Steady. Demanding. I looked away. Try, she repeated. Something in my chest tightened. Anger. Frustration. Exhaustion. All of it collided at once. Fine, I muttered. I gripped the arms of the chair. My fingers dug into the metal. Push, she said. I don't feel anything. Push anyway. I clenched my jaw. My arms tensed. My shoulders strained. I pushed. Nothing. I told you. Again. I said nothing is happening. Then make something happen. Something snapped. Not my body. My patience. I slammed my hands against the armrests. This is pointless. My voice echoed through the room. For a moment. Everything was still. Then she said it. Quietly. Then why are you still here? Silence. The question hung in the air. Heavy. Unavoidable. I didn't answer. Because I didn't have one. The next session was worse. Again. I'm tired. Again. I said I'm tired. And I said again. I can't do this. Yes, you can. I've been trying for months. No, she corrected. You've been avoiding failure for months. I clenched my jaw. You don't understand what this feels like. She paused. You're right, she said. I looked at her. I don't know what it feels like to lose your legs, she continued. Her voice didn't change. But I know what it feels like to lose everything. Something shifted. Just slightly. And I know, she added, that the only way back is through. Silence. I looked away. Because something about that felt real. Too real. That night, I almost gave up. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just quietly. I sat in the dark. The city lights flickering through the glass. The same city I used to control. Now distant. Unreachable. What's the point? I muttered. No answer. Of course not. Then. Giving up already? I froze. You don't knock? I said. I do, she replied. You don't listen. Leave. You're tired. I'm done. No, she said softly. You're afraid. Of what? I snapped. Of trying again, and failing again. Silence. Because she was right. I felt something today, I admitted quietly. I know. And then it disappeared. She nodded. That's how it starts. I looked at her. And if it never comes back? She didn't hesitate. Then we make it come back. Something shifted in my chest. Not hope. Not yet. But something close. The next morning. I didn't wait for her to say it. Again, I said. She raised an eyebrow. That's new. Don't get used to it. She smirked slightly. Push. I gripped the bars. My arms strained. My body shook. Again. I'm trying. Not enough. I can't. Again. I screamed. And pushed with everything I had. And then. Something happened. My leg. Twitched. Barely. Almost invisible. But I felt it. My breath caught. Did you see that? I saw it, she said immediately. My heart started racing. Fast. Loud. Alive. Again, she said. This time. I didn't argue. That was the moment everything changed. Not because I could move. But because now. I knew I wasn't completely gone. From that point on. I became obsessed. Again. I pushed. Again. Harder. Again. I didn't stop. Pain became normal. Failure became routine. But that one moment. That tiny movement. Stayed in my head. You're overdoing it, she warned one evening. Not enough, I said. You need rest. I need results. She stepped in front of me. Blocking me. You need to trust the process. I don't trust anything. Then trust me. Silence. That was dangerous. Because part of me already did. Weeks passed. Slow progress. Small changes. But real. And then. It happened. Stand. I'm not ready. You won't ever feel ready. Silence. I took a breath. Gripped the bars. And pushed. My body shook violently. My legs responded. Weak. Unstable. But alive. I rose. Slowly. Painfully. Unbelievably. My voice broke. I'm standing. For the first time in a year. I was standing. The world felt different up here. Higher. Real. My vision blurred. Not from pain. From something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Then. My legs gave out. I fell forward. And she caught me. Our faces inches apart. My breathing uneven. So, I whispered. That's what it feels like. She smiled slightly. Welcome back. And in that moment. Balance between falling and rising. I realized something dangerous. I wasn't just coming back to life. I was coming back for everything. Standing was a victory. Walking was a war. People don't understand that. They think once you stand, everything gets easier. It doesn't. It gets harder. Because now. You have something to lose again. Again. I gripped the parallel bars. My palms burned. My shoulders ached. My legs trembled like they didn't belong to me. I'm doing it, I muttered. Not well enough. I shot her a look. You're impossible. And you're still here. That shut me up. I lifted my right foot. Slow. Unstable. Unnatural. Every nerve screamed. Not sharp pain. But deep resistance. Like my body was fighting itself. Step, she said. I am stepping. You're hesitating. I'm trying not to fall. You will fall. That made me pause. She stepped closer. Fall, she said. What? Fall. And get up again. I stared at her. You're serious. Very. Silence. Then I took the step. My knee buckled immediately. I dropped. Hard. Pain shot through my body. I sucked in a sharp breath. That's what you're afraid of, she asked calmly. I looked up at her. Again. I pushed myself up. Anger rising. Not at her. At myself. And this time. I stepped again. And didn't fall. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into progress. Not fast. Not clean. But real. Each step became less foreign. Less forced. Until one day. I didn't think about it. I just walked. Stop. I froze. What? You didn't hesitate. I blinked. I didn't. She smiled slightly. That's new. Something about that moment stayed with me. Not because it was big. But because it wasn't. It was normal. And after everything. Normal felt like a miracle. You're not using the cane, she said later. I don't need it. You will. I won't. She raised an eyebrow. Confidence or arrogance? I smirked slightly. Both. She shook her head. You're not fully recovered. I don't need to be. That was the truth. Because I wasn't just walking again. I was remembering who I was. The first time I stepped back into the company. Everything changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But I felt it. The shift. He's here. He's walking. Each step echoed down the hallway. Not perfect. Not smooth. But undeniable. And at the end of that hallway, he was waiting. Hyun-woo. Of course he was. Well, he said slowly. This is unexpected. I stopped in front of him. You look disappointed. He smiled faintly. I'm impressed. You tried to kill me. No build-up. No hesitation. Just truth. Silence. Then. He laughed. Not defensive. Not surprised. Amused. That's a strong accusation. The truck didn't lose control, I said. It corrected. His eyes sharpened. You noticed. I always notice. He took a slow step closer. You weren't supposed to die, he said quietly. My chest tightened. Just, step aside. Rage surged through me. You crippled me. He shrugged. You were in the way. I stepped closer. You think you can just say that? He smiled again. That's the best part. Silence. You can't prove anything. The words hit. Because they were true. For now. That night. I didn't rest. I didn't think. I hunted. Because men like him don't make one move. They build systems. And systems leave traces. At first. Nothing. Clean records. Perfect numbers. Too perfect. That was the problem. Because nothing that big stays perfect for long. So I looked deeper. Not at the surface. Under it. Patterns. Tiny inconsistencies. Transactions that meant nothing alone. But together? A leak. A quiet, controlled bleed. Where are you hiding it? I muttered. I followed the trail. Through subsidiaries. Through vendors that didn't exist. Through approvals that looked routine. Until they didn't. Then I found it. A company. On paper only. No staff. No operations. Just movement. Money flowing through like water through a pipe. My pulse quickened. This is it. I traced it further. Layer by layer. Until it surfaced. Offshore. Cayman Islands. I leaned back slowly. You're stealing from your own company. Not stealing. Draining. Carefully. Patiently. Like a parasite. The next morning, I found her. You didn't sleep. I found something. She crossed her arms. What? He tried to kill me. I know. He admitted it. She didn't react with shock. Just focus. But you can't prove it. I nodded. But I found something better. What? He's been embezzling funds. That got her attention. How? Shell companies. Offshore accounts. She exhaled slowly. That's big. I know. She studied me. So what are you going to do? I didn't hesitate. I'm taking everything back. The boardroom was full. Executives. Directors. My father. And him. Still sitting at the center. Like he owned everything. Until I walked in. Silence. Immediate. Heavy. Min-jae, my father said. I'd like to speak. Hyun-woo smiled faintly. This should be interesting. I stepped forward. For the past year, this company has been under new leadership. Murmurs. And during that time, millions have disappeared. The room froze. Careful, he said lightly. I placed the documents on the table. Shell companies. Fake vendors. Offshore accounts. Faces changed. And an account in the Cayman Islands. Silence. This is a serious accusation, someone said. It's not an accusation, I replied. It's evidence. All eyes turned to him. For the first time. He didn't smile. You think this changes anything? He snapped. You were gone. I saved this company. By stealing from it? Silence. My father stood. Is it true? He didn't answer. And that was enough. Security moved. Fast. Controlled. Final. As they grabbed him, he leaned toward me. You think you won? I stepped closer. No, I said quietly. I'm just getting started. The police came. Cuffs clicked. And just like that, he fell. I'm ready to resume my position, I said. No hesitation. No argument. Because they all saw it. I wasn't the same man who left. But this time, it wasn't about power. Winning is quieter than people think. No applause. No dramatic music. No moment where everything suddenly feels complete. Just silence. I sat alone in the office that used to define me. Floor-to-ceiling glass. The city stretching endlessly below. A year ago. This view meant control. Power. Dominance. Now? It felt distant. You're avoiding everyone. I didn't turn. I'm thinking. Amara walked in anyway. Of course she did. Dangerous, she said lightly. I exhaled. I got everything back. And, she asked. I leaned back slightly. It doesn't feel the way I thought it would. She stepped closer. That's because you're not the same person anymore. I glanced at her. And is that a good thing? She didn't hesitate. Yes. Silence settled. Not empty. Just honest. The courtroom felt colder than the hospital. Not physically. Something deeper. Final. I walked in without a cane. Without hesitation. And there he was. Hyun-woo. Stripped of everything but his arrogance. You came, he said as I passed. I wouldn't miss it. To watch me fall? I stopped. Turned slightly. To make sure you don't get back up. His smile widened. You really think this is the end? I held his gaze. I know it is. The trial began. Precise. Controlled. Defendant Young Hyun-woo, the prosecutor said. You are charged with embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. He didn't react. Not at first. Then the evidence started. Financial trails filled the screen. Clean. Detailed. Unavoidable. Over 12 months, the prosecutor continued. The defendant redirected company funds through shell corporations. Murmurs spread. Into offshore accounts located in the Cayman Islands. That was the first crack. His lawyer stood. These are circumstantial. Actually, the prosecutor interrupted. They're not. New documents appeared. Signatures. Approvals. Encrypted confirmations. All his. He didn't smile anymore. Then. My turn. We call Young Min Jae. I stood. Walked forward. Each step steady. Each step earned. Do you recognize the defendant? Yes. How? He's my stepbrother. A pause. And the man who tried to destroy my life. Stick to the facts. I nodded. The truck didn't lose control, I said. Silence. It corrected. It chose me. The room stilled. And after the crash? I looked at him. He stayed. Murmurs. He made sure it worked. His jaw tightened. No direct evidence, the lawyer said. I nodded. Yes. A flicker of confidence returned to his face. Then. But I don't need it, I said. Silence. Because the kind of man who tries to kill his brother. I held his gaze. Is the same man who steals from his own company. The room shifted. Heavy. Unavoidable. Hours passed. Arguments. Evidence. Truth. Until finally. This court finds the defendant. Everything held still. Guilty. The word landed like impact. Final. Absolute. He laughed. But it wasn't the same. Forced. You think this is justice, he said loudly. This is just power changing hands. No one answered. Because for the first time. He didn't matter. As they took him away, he looked at me. You didn't win, he said quietly. I stepped closer. No, I replied. I survived. And that was something he would never understand. That night, my father called. Come home. Not the office. Home. The house hadn't changed. Still perfect. Still cold. Still controlled. You've done well, he said. Is that approval? It's recognition. I nodded slowly. That's new. He studied me. You've changed. I had to. Silence. You let him take everything, I said. You were gone. I was alive. You were weak. That word would have destroyed me before. Now? It felt small. I was recovering, I said calmly. And now? I stepped forward. Now I'm stronger than I've ever been. Silence. For the first time, I added. I don't need your approval. That landed. Because it was true. He looked at me for a long moment. Then nodded. Not as a father. As a man. I found her where I always did. By the window. You always end up here, I said. It's peaceful. I walked toward her. No cane. No hesitation. You're not using it anymore. I don't need it. She smiled. Good. Silence. But not empty. Full. I went to court, I said. I know. He's gone. I know. I exhaled. It's over. She shook her head slightly. No, she said softly. It's just the part you were fighting. I looked at her. And what comes next? She held my gaze. That depends on what you want. That question used to be easy. Power. Control. Victory. Now? Different. I paused. Then said it. I want a life that doesn't feel empty when I win. Her expression softened. That's a better goal. I stepped closer. And I don't want to build it alone. Her breath slowed slightly. Are you asking me to stay? I shook my head. No. I'm asking you to be part of it. Silence. Real silence. The kind that matters. Then. She smiled. Only if you promise something. What? She stepped closer. Don't forget what it took to get here. I nodded. I won't. And don't go back to who you were. I looked at her. I can't, I said quietly. He didn't survive. That was the truth. The man I used to be died that night in the rain. And the one standing here now? He was someone else. Someone better. Because of everything. Because of her. Months later. Life was different. Not perfect. Better. The company was stronger. Cleaner. For the first time. It felt like something worth protecting. Not controlling. Building. I stood outside the building. The same place I once entered as a king. Then returned as a ghost. Now. Something else. Ready? She asked beside me. I looked at her. Then forward. Yeah. We started walking. Side by side. No rush. No pressure. Just forward. One step at a time. And for the first time in my life, I understood something simple. Standing wasn't the victory. Walking wasn't the victory. Winning wasn't the victory. Becoming someone worth being. That was. If this story kept you hooked till the end, don't forget to like, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next powerful story. More drama, more twists, and more unforgettable characters coming your way.